Hello and welcome. Today I have the pleasure of presenting Buchi Njere. Buchi Njere is a thoroughbred advertising and marketing communications professional. He is also a respected public policy analyst and a passionate advocate for a greater Nigeria. Let's meet Buchi.
Okay, thanks so much again. And like we said, I've been in the advertising business for over 3 decades. I started off as a freelance writer with a few of the media houses, especially The Guardian. And from there, I moved into advertising because that's where I felt that was had more promising as a young man looking for greener pastures, as it were. So advertising was very attractive, and there was no other place more suited for people like us who felt that we needed to hone our skill, contribute, and then earn a little money for ourselves, because the journalism wasn't offering that, and we felt that advertising made us better offers, and most of us moved into advertising, and 3 decades down the line, I'm still there.
Buchi Njere on advertising and marketing communications.
Advertising cannot do better than the whole environment, the economic, the political, the superstructure, if you like. We operate the same environment. We operate an environment where the economy is struggling, the political space is becoming toxic. So advertising is not expected to do anything better than what the environment is. So but we are getting by. I can say we are probably on the mend, struggling, and looking at what's happening across the globe, because the industry itself is not static. Even though their operation is a little bit lethargic in many ways because of the environment, like I say. But then there are young people coming in and who don't even have the kind of background that we had, and they are making a lot of waves, making changes, bringing changes into the industry, and especially in the area of digital, which is actually the internet, and of course content creation. So the advertising business has grown from what we used to know, writing copy, doing client service, doing media, to you being the businessman. The individual is not the business person who creates and markets. So we are more like the man who creates value for the client. So you're a solution provider, as it were. So which is the way the business is going, and that is actually where we're going. And the Nigerian environment, as challenging as it is, it also provides some kind of opportunity for people to also find a new way into survival, as it were. So,
okay.
Yeah. APCON role as a regulator is to create sanity. Okay, and I think over the years they've been able to do that. And it's not a perfect place, but as it is, what they've done so far is to create a neighborhood environment so that everybody can operate as a professional. And professional input or professional background or whatever you have to bring into any space is very key. Advertising should not be for all comers. You can't just walk in and you become an advertising practitioner. I mean, no industry survives that way. So the key to our survival as an industry is to have a regulation, and APCON is doing that. Of course, we've also had self-regulation over the years, but APCON has brought institutional regulation, and that has framed the way we do business, and for the individual practitioner, and the way they are going too, and not to create that environment for the corporate practitioners, which is actually the next step for APCON now. Because the new APCON bill, I understand, will be looking at that way, where it's not just the individual practicing advertising, but the corporate organizations too who employ these people who practice advertising, so that the environment is conducive, the environment is professional, and the environment is such that can attract quality talent. Because I think we're struggling with that, because once the talent move, replacement is becoming very difficult. So APCON will be a key institution to do that, so that people are attracted to advertising, people of quality, not just people who couldn't find a job anywhere else.
Yeah.
They find advertising the next thing to walk into. Advertising is a profession. Advertising should be practiced as a profession, and with dignity too. So that the respect the practitioner earns, goes into the industry generally, and of course impacts on what we contribute to the GDP as an industry.
Buchi Njere on perception of advertising agencies and the controversy of unpaid media bills.
It's a very difficult area to go into, because there have been accusations, counter accusations. I remember there was a time this issue became very problematic, and it became such a tenuous issue that agencies insisted that there should be an audit of these so-called debts. But at the end of the day, what agencies were owing was not anything close to what the media owners were claiming. So the fact remains that in every organization there will be bad eggs, no doubt about it. Yeah. So there are agency owners who do not just pay media owners, they also don't pay production houses. It has always been like that. Yeah. But you cannot look at the scene of a few individuals and think that you paint a whole industry. We have credible people operating, core professionals, who have dignity, who want to play by the rules. So the media owners, I think the onus is on them to prove their point by their media order. What you have, the evidence that you've broadcast or carried what has been given to you. Yeah. So you bring it up, and then there will be reconciliation. I think that the industry, the communication industry, I think they've done that, and the reconciliation aspect is what has always been a challenge, because sometimes these media owners don't come up with the documents. Okay, so and what do you expect agencies to do? You need to prove that the order given to you, you aired what was given to you, you carried the order given to you, and then you can make your claims. And if there's any problem, of course you go back to the tripod, the media owners, the agencies, and advertisers, who will now come together and agree how some of these issues can be resolved. Because this issue cannot be resolved on the page of newspapers, obviously. Good. Because the media owners have the advantage of using their media to say some of these things. Agencies don't have that advantage, okay? So you can say all you want to say about what the agencies are doing, but it also have to come forward with the facts. The facts are not flip statements. The facts are documented evidence that there was a business transaction that the agency did not honor.
Buchi Njere on indiscriminate invitation to pitches by advertisers.
The thing is, I think agency, the Triple N is handling that aspect, because there has to be, APCON is also wading in. You just invite the whole agencies in Nigeria because you want to do a pitch of 10 million or 20 million business, okay? There are rules. Because if you have respect for your agency as a vital arm of your business, okay, you know who to invite. Because there's a profile. Agencies are profile. You do profile presentation. From there you pick. You see what agencies have done over the years. Yeah. If the agency has worked on a similar business and you think what they have done is good enough for you, you bring them in and they work with you. Okay, if you want to look at other agencies, it's okay, look at the profile. What can you do? And then you do that. Okay. Because calling a pitch that lasts for years and agencies are spending millions to do these pitches, these pitches don't come cheap.
I can imagine.
They don't come cheap. So, and I don't expect that all the small agencies can survive that. You know? So you need to respect the professional you work with. And you need to understand that these people are also spending money to do some of these things. And they can work with you and give it.
Buchi Njere on surviving the challenges of tech incursions into the advertising industry.
No, I don't see it that way. I just see that it's part of the challenge of running the business.
Okay.
It's part of the challenge of development. Okay, so there be changes at every given time. There be turn in the way business is done, the way life itself runs. Okay. Now, what they've done is to bring innovation to the table. So it's for the agencies to also see how they can exploit or utilize what is available. Because what is available means that, for instance, if what agency was doing was just writing copy, they're apt to do copy. You're just building media planning, they're apt to do media planning. But there's hardly any app for strategy. Okay, so agency can just become solution providers by saying, look, we are specialists in solution, and it's actually the area of strategy. So copywriting becomes,
strategy is environment and culture based. Anyway,
exactly.
So absolutely. So you
can
apply one strategy.
It's not something you just go online and pick.
Yeah.
You must apply it to the given environment. Okay.
Right.
So agencies should concentrate on strategy, and because you cannot write copy without clear strategy. Okay. Now, copy is not copy and paste. Copy is not because a particular company has written a particular line, then you just use the line and slam it for another client. No, it has to be strategy based. So, if there's an app for writing copy, and you say, okay, give it just for giving, the client will pay you for strategy because they're providing solution, which is what the tech companies are doing. Okay, they're providing the solution that the client needs, but the client may just be able to get somebody to write copy, but how to move the business is not in the copy. Okay. Copy is just a part of the communication. Okay. The key, the starting point for the communication is the area of strategy. So you must be able to have a good strategy to whatever you want to communicate.
Buchi Njere on leadership quality in Nigeria.
You see, the way to start is to say that no government comes to power to punish the people. Okay. That is clear. I mean, Jonathan, Obasanjo, Buhari, all the leaders we've had in the recent years, none of them came to power to punish the people. But along the line, you ask yourself, what has gone wrong? You see, I talked about strategy the first time, okay? Now, the thing is that a man or woman who aspires for leadership, what plans do you have? And these plans, are they also known to the voters? Did we know what Buhari stood for before he came to power? What was Jonathan about? What was Obasanjo about? What was Yurajo about? Okay? So first of all, you need to understand what aspirants stand for. So we need to put them in the public space and say, this is how we assess. You assess based on what the man has told you. You assess based on manifesto of the political party. By the way, when the APC came, they had a manifesto. But the man that they produced as president did not have a manifesto. He said he didn't anything about it. So on what basis are we judging Buhari? Is it based on APC manifesto, on his own personal manifesto, and his personal manifesto, what is it? Okay, so let's look at what he's doing currently. He's talking about infrastructure. Maybe infrastructure has always been a key. I mean, there's no economy, no country can develop without infrastructure. I mean, that is basic. Actually, the starting point. Okay. So what he's doing now is not different from what many governments have done over the years. Maybe he's finishing some of them, he's starting some of them, borrowing hugely to do that, by the way, and of course he's telling on us. But what he's doing, is it sustainable? Are we just building infrastructure for the sake of making people happy, or infrastructure that will pay for themselves? Okay, because sometimes you borrow, you build infrastructure that's self-financing, or even if they're not self-financing, but at the end of the day, you recoup the cost of the borrowing. But I don't think, I'm not clear what that is about now, because we're building rail from Nigeria to Niger. Well, I'm still searching for the economic benefit to Nigeria. Well, a lot has been said. We're not just building rail, we are building the modern gauge, okay? Not the narrow gauge, So the thing is it of economic benefit to me as a Nigerian or a friend of mine who lives in Kano, okay, that this is actually what the country needs, okay? But you look at other corridors that are very viable, okay? You look at the southern part, you look at the northern part. I mean, not just that. You look at the viability of this form of this project. Ask yourself, okay, we're borrowing heavily, and we're not even focusing on the key things or the key infrastructure that actually bring development, where people are going to pay for these things to become useful to us. Okay, so that's actually my challenge. But I mean, like I said, I don't believe that Buhari came to power to punish Nigerians. But just at the end of the day, and it's unfortunate that our leaders come into power and they become clueless.
Okay. Buchi Njere on national value erosion and leadership decadence.
Let's look at our leadership recruitment.
Okay.
Okay. So if you go to the wards as a starting point, as the base for political leadership recruitment, what do you find in most of those places? I'm sorry to say, they are actually not the best representative of that environment.
Okay.
Because, first of all, most of them are talks. I'm sorry to say, they are talks. They are probably school dropouts. But they have the capacity for violence. They have capacity for mischief. And they're easily available for the highest bidder. So they are the people who take care of recruitment at that level. And it's from that level you take it to the other levels. And it goes on and on and on. And a man of character, a man of integrity will not stoop low to make touts his campaign managers or his voices in those places. But that's what's going on, okay? Because you need those people to win election, because election, yeah, our vote should count, but most times the talks control the polling units. The talks are those who man the puts and are the representatives of the political parties. So it means that we've institutionalized poverty, we've weaponized poverty, that at the base of political recruitment, we don't have the best qualified, we don't have the best of the people, the crop you have, that you say, okay, let's start from here. Local government level, state level, federal level, is all over the place. Now, this is replicated, as I say, at those levels. And a political party, yeah, you have ministers or commissioners. You try and pick the best among them. But what's the background? Where are they coming from? What's their base? I say, what's their political base? The political base are controlled by the talks, who determine so many things. So, and the leadership too, when they get to Abuja or any of the state capitals, they're gone. You don't see them again until the next election cycle. So those talks control the environment, control those bases. So they are the ones that they use. They're the ones that are the voice, as it were, of political power recruitment. So you find out that it's a circle that does not end. It's a circle that does not do us any good. It's a circle that is as toxic as you can imagine. Okay? Now, back to the quote you referred to. Yeah. The young people are watching. They're seeing what's going on. A man goes to Abuja or the state capital. A man who needed rehabilitation one way or the other, he gets an appointment. And the next time he comes, he's come with siren. Over 20 policemen are guiding him. and has a convoy of vehicles. This is a man that could hardly eat. But because he has got elevated, what I call rehabilitation, a political appointment, he's become
a demigod.
Yeah, okay. Now these young boys or these young people are watching and seeing the situation. So what do you expect them to do? For them, the way to get to power is to do what the other man has done to be there. So they'll do it. And now, look at the political circle. Look at the social, what they now call influencers. Now, who are these influencers? Because I want to take it, from that quote you mentioned.
Right.
Because it's not just the politics. There's also the social side of it,
yeah,
which also has influence on the politics.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is that, who are our so-called influencers? They are other very funny-looking human beings. They are people you can describe as dregs of the society, I'm sorry to say. They are odd human beings, okay? But they're influencers, okay? They are people the young people look up to because they are different. Not just because they are different, because they're making money. It's all about making money. Because you want to be a particular character. You are neither a man or a woman. And people say, this is great, this is wonderful. And you become an influencer. People are having parties, they invite you to parties to grace their parties. Every occasion, you are there, dressed like any kind of thing, and then you're sitting down there and everybody's running around you, and some brands, we think that this is a person that will help push our brand, and it becomes an influencer, okay? The young people are also watching. They're seeing all these things because everything is about what? Making money. So we find out that we are degrading our value, and we're asking ourselves, who did it? We all are involved one way or the other. Because if you have the way you present yourself with the money you have, the way you present yourself with the authority you have, and how you use all of that, impacts on the society, because the young ones are watching. How are you using what you have? Is it political influence? Is it social influence you have? You use all that, and you're using it in a way that does not speak well of our society, using it in such a way that the society is worse off. Parents are supposed to be the first God of the child, okay? Right. The child becomes whatever he or she becomes because the parents were there to guide. But most of the parents have lost that influence. Many parents, I can tell you for free, are afraid of their children. Why are they afraid of their children? Because they felt the basic of providing for the children. It's also come back to poverty. Now, if you go to the rural areas, many parents can't afford the basic of feeding their children. Something as simple as giving their children 1 meal a day. Okay. They can't afford a meal. They can't afford to pay school fees. And these children at a very young age begin to fend for themselves. Okay? They go to the street. Survival of the fittest. So if you're on the street surviving, some of them, with the little they can get, they can send themselves back to school. Some can learn a trade, skill. Some of them just don't care, or they just want to survive for the moment. Okay? Now, they go back to their homes. How much influence, how much corrections can you think that a father can exert on such a child? It becomes difficult, because he has lost the basic. Because the basic is that as a child is growing up, at every age, as a father or as a mother, you have a plan, the plan you have for the child. After primary school, which school do I want my child to go to? Secondary school, which university or which trade? But the man was not able to do that. Well, some of them share out of shared responsibility. Most of them out of poverty. Because some of them have lost their jobs. From the city, they went back to the villages. They can't survive. They're just trying to survive. So the society at large has also made it difficult for the parents to play their role. I'm not holding brief for anybody. I'm not saying that you should not control your children at a young age and do what you can. But we are not all influenced equally by the same thing. Okay? We react differently to the same thing, to the same environment. I may react differently if I don't have any money on me. Another person may not react that way. I don't think that my first reaction if I find that I don't have any money is to go and steal. That would be that. It would never even cross my mind. Okay. But another person, that's the way he thinks. That's the way he sees it. So that's the way he'll go. So because I must survive, so he must go and steal. It would never cross my mind. Okay, it will never cross my mind that my child will not go from primary, secondary to university, no matter what. I feel that I should try what I can to do that, to make it possible. Okay, yeah. What I can do is to say, okay, you know what? I may not afford a particular school, but I go to the next to make sure that I get the same value, the same quality I'm looking for. Yeah. So parents are fed because the society has also fed them. 2023 would be a defining moment for Nigeria. We either get it right or we perish, because we've got our leadership selection wrong. It's always been wrong. If you want, from the 60s up to this moment, we've not been able to get it right, because we have always been aloof at who becomes our leader. So this time around, it is time to get it right. Put your money, put your time, mobilize the youth. Because the youth, if they were mobilized, can make a difference. And you're not mobilizing them because you want to give them money. You're mobilizing them because you're telling them this is their future at stake. It's not the money, because you give them money today, that is the end of the money. The money will finish the next, they will drink it and that is it. But tell them that this is the future. That the future they are yearning for is there in their hands, because it is going to work. Not because you're sitting down somewhere, because you got up and you moved. So it's time to move and mobilize.
Buchi Njere on crowdfunding for supporting and electing the right leaders.
Let me start from the first point you made about leadership.
Okay.
You know, there is this often quoted statement by the late Chinua Achebe that Nigeria's problem is basically leadership.
Okay.
You cannot root leadership out of anything. You know, you lead. Because remember that leadership is not just about that individual, it's about what the individual represents.
Yeah.
Okay? If he's a man of integrity, people see him as a man of integrity, they will follow. But if the man espouses integrity and talks about it, you know, mouths it, you know, and when the chips are down, when he's given a responsibility, he's lacking, then that's no leadership. So you don't expect people to follow. So leadership is our problem. We must get it right. Crowdfunding. Like I also said in that statement, I've never really put money for any political party or any political candidate, because I don't ever believe it. But when that young man budgeted talked about crowdfunding for a particular candidate, it struck me. I said, yeah, probably it's about the best time to do that. Because I don't expect a man to use his money to go and represent me. If I believe in him, I should put money in what I believe in, because I believe in him, so I should put my money. So Nigerians, it's high time we started doing that. This individual represents what we want. This is the kind of person we want at this time for 2023 going forward. Let's come together and fund him. And funding, like you said, is not just enough. Funding means that you are mobilizing. If I put my money, I must make sure that my vote counts. So it means that if I'm putting my money, I'm also going to mobilize to make sure that the talks don't take over from my ward. Okay. So if at the ward level where I am strong, where I know that I put my money, I'll come out. I'll come out to make sure that my vote counts. I'll come out and vote. I'll make sure that my vote counts. I'll make sure that the talks don't take over the ward. Because, like I said, the basics from the ward. So if a man who has put his money is there to make sure that nobody snatches the votes, nobody, the talks don't select who comes to vote, that are not that the votes, those who come to vote are not intimidated, which is actually what happens in many parts, especially places like Lagos and some other parts. The talks they intimidate voters. So you just ensure that that doesn't happen because you put your money and you believe that you can do it with like minds. So that's why we get it right. So if we put our money, we must also put our time. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what it's about. So not just putting the money and you take a back seat. No, you don't put money and take a back seat. The starting point is actually getting a PVC, which I've got my PVC. You get a PVC, you select, you identify a political candidate, not the party. I'm not interested in the party because the two leading parties are basically the same thing. Yeah. Okay, so you select, you identify a candidate, not a party. I keep saying that. I'm not for any political party, but I'm for a candidate of quality who can represent me and present what I stand for. So if I'm ready to put my money where my mouth is, as they say, I'm also ready to put my time and to make sure that that is what happens.
Buchi Njere on building a career in advertising and marketing.
The thing is that career building takes patience. Okay, so there's no career you build, you want to get into that pays you premium on the first day. It doesn't work. There's something we say in advertising. When you start, you will be exploited, but after some time you'll be overpaid. Okay, so that is a principle of training. It's a principle that you come in, you get the training you need, the training that you want, that will actually take you to where you want, and you become valuable. Because remember that they are being employed for the value you are bringing. Nobody's employed because they like your face. They're employing you because you have something to offer. As they say, you have something to bring, what you have on the table. So you are bringing value. By the time you get your training, not the training you get from the university or anywhere, but training on the job. And it takes time. It takes time to train a good copywriter. It takes time to train a good media planner. It takes time to get a good strategist. Okay, so it takes time. They take years and intensive participation. Okay, it's not just because you work in a particular agency and you stay aloof. You must participate in whatever they are doing. You must participate in the pitches, even if you're not in the pitch team. But take interest in what is going on and train yourself. Arm yourself for the future. Advertising is actually a good business, and for the future actually, because advertising is actually, or marketing communication, as you want to refer it to, is actually a business for the future, because it does not go out of fashion. Because once there's an economy, once there's demand and supply, there'll be communication, there'll be advertising. So it does not go out, because the basic principle of any business, of any economy, is buying and selling. So once that producing, buying, selling, once these three elements are in place, advertising must take place. So that means that advertising is not in any way going out. Advertising will remain there, but what is going to change is the way we do it. Yeah. So the way we do it is different. It could be, you're not creating content to do what? To create communication. You're creating content so that people begin to look at what you're saying. So it's not just having people doing that. There's so many areas of this business, So there's also programming. There's so many things. So many ways advertising is metamorphosing. It's going into different places. So that you begin to know that when you're coming in, you are going into a career that pays over time. Hey, this is Brand Power Connect. Stay tuned always.
And that's the wrap on this edition of Brand Power Connect featuring Buchi Njere. I'm sure you did have a good time listening to him. Please stay tuned on all our channels in our social media handles. Brand Power Connect. Stay tuned always.